All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Groff and Mr. Steiner, we have about 30 people so far, but we'll do introductions first, and then we'll let a couple more people join. Just so if anybody doesn't know us, my name is Jesse Harper. I'm the superintendent at Arkport.
I'm Dale Steiner. I'm the athletic director at Arkport, Canaseraga.
And I'm Chad Groff, superintendent at Canaseraga.
So we've done this before for athletics. We've done it before for academics. So if you're watching on Facebook, you can comment and ask questions in the comment section under the live stream. And if you're on YouTube, you can do the same thing. Those questions pop up on our end, and we can bring them up as we go through. And I know Mr. Steiner, Mr. Groff, and I will be as informative as we can. There's some things we don't know at this point, but we do know the high-risk sports are starting. So we're going to go ahead and get started. As we go, pop your questions in the comments, and even if we don't get to them right away, we will come back and answer all those questions at the end. Mr. Steiner, it's all yours.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. This is going to be just a little presentation and some highlights regarding the winter sports season, the high-risk winter sports season, as you all know. We are going to do a really short presentation, and then there'll be some time for some questions at the end also, if you would like to do that. So just to go to the first slide, Mr. Harper, please. I did write down or put in some dates, some of the important dates that you're going to need to know. I know there's probably going to be questions regarding the fact that these seasons are overlapping. We all know that. It's not something that's new, but they're overlapping quite a bit in some cases when it's 1 or 2 weeks of overlap. We will do everything we can to accommodate all of the athletes, ones that are trying to start a new season, ones that are trying to finish a new season. We will make sure we do what's best for the kids, and hopefully, like I said, it's something new for all of us, so we will figure it out. As you can see, February 1st was the start of high risk, and then that season needs to end by the 13th of March. That includes sectionals. The fall 2 season, which includes all levels of cheerleading and all levels of girls volleyball, will start on March 1st. And then that season needs to be completed by May 1st. That includes sectionals and everything else. So, and then as you see, the spring sports are going to start later than they ever have, which may not be a bad thing when it comes to the weather around this area. So, and the end date for spring sports is still to be determined. Section 5 in the state will make that decision as we go here. All right. Okay. Go on to the next one, Mr. Harper. Just some general information. There's going to be no spectators at any events, home or away. Live streaming will be available for all home contests at Arkport and Canaseraga. And what I plan on doing, what most of the people in our county are doing, is they're putting their live stream link onto our school. So I will talk to Mr. Harper about doing that also. Hopefully you all have an our school account, and that takes you to our scheduling, and for all away games and home games is all in our school. And at that, if we can get it in our live stream link into our school, which Mr. Harper shaking his head yes, then you'll be able to go right into our school and find the link pretty easily. Away contests will be, everybody's going to try to live stream every game they can at every school. I can't guarantee that happen for every game, but the way everybody's talking, they do plan to live stream as many events as they can. We will do the senior nights as soon as possible. All games, as I said, are in our school. And then Section 5 is going to hold closed sectionals for basketball. And for anybody who does not know what closed means, is basically they're just not taking everybody. A team with a 1-15 record is not going to go to sectionals. They're only going to take the top 8, basically. But there is discussions about taking teams that have a winning record also. So that is something that may happen down the road here. We're all, as I said, we're all trying to figure this out as we go. So, but as of right now, it's probably going to be the top 8 will make sectionals for girls and boys basketball.
Mr. Steiner, we got a question.
Okay. Mrs. Holbrook, Mrs. Payne, sorry. We do plan to live stream all events. Modified, JV, varsity, boys volleyball, wrestling. The only thing I could think of is if we ever have a night where there's maybe 3 events going on, we may have a problem with that because I think we have two live stream capabilities. So if a third one comes up in our schedule, which I don't anticipate, then we should be fine.
And Mr. Groff and I are working on it. I'm going to go over to Canaseraga tomorrow, and it's all games, both locations. We plan on streaming as much as possible.
All right. Next slide, please.
Coming up.
As far as wrestling goes, this is to be determined. There's a lot of talk about sectionals for wrestling and how they're going to do it. So I really don't have an answer at this point. All I know is that they have it planned. It's in the schedule. How they're going to do it, we don't know yet. There has to be a host that's going to host an event of that size also. So that's all being discussed with Section 5 now. For the boys volleyball, we will have a playoff with Allegheny County, just like we have in the past. They're doing they'll have a championship playoff. It has nothing to do with sectionals because our boys volleyball is not in the official Section 5 season. All right, so there is no sectionals for boys volleyball. The masks will be worn at all times for all of our contests, before games, during warm-ups, after games. Masks must be worn in our county. And as is the case in the fall, not all counties are following that rule. Most of our events are Steuben County only. We're playing teams in our county in most cases. The only sport that's not doing that is boys volleyball. They will be crossing over into Allegheny County. So there is a possibility when we go to Allegheny County that their athletes may not be wearing masks. Locker rooms at all locations are closed. The athletes must be dressed in uniform before entering the school for home games. For away games, athletes should be dressed in uniform before getting on the bus. Next slide. Just some general considerations. We put these up in the fall also. This is coming from the state guidelines that they sent. Obviously, we want our coaches to communicate the guidelines to all the students, and we're talking about them now with the parents in some cases. Coaches should be keeping accurate records of who's at their practices. We've talked about that with the coaches. And then for the students, obviously, the sharing of any equipment or any clothing or towels or water bottles is prohibited. Please do not do that. Articles of clothing that they're wearing should be washed as soon as you get home. Let's see. Parents, provide personal items for your child and clearly label them, especially water bottles. Water bottles have to be labeled in some way, shape, or form, or they should be. So athletes do not accidentally share any water bottles. Next, please.
Just I think follow-up question. Somebody might have missed it. Mr. Steiner, are masks mandatory for all counties?
No. Some counties are following the state guideline of masks can be taken off if they can't tolerate them. similar to what we went through in the fall. So as I said, if we play an Allegheny County team or we play a team in sectionals that's not in Steuben County, we may be, going against some athletes that are not wearing masks.
And just kind of as a follow-up, in case somebody's interested in knowing, obviously the Canaseraga building sits in Allegheny County, but because our AC athletics competitions will be in Steuben County, we are following the Steuben County rules and requirements as far as being masked up all the time.
Ready for the next one, Mr. Steiner?
Yes, please. Just some general things. Our first priority continues to be the safety of the athletes, coaches, and our schools. Our second priority is to allow these athletes to participate as much as possible. If you remember in the fall, there were games that were canceled. There were games that were pushed to another date. With this season being so condensed, pushing games to another date is probably not going to happen. So there's a possibility that if a team is quarantined for any amount of time, we're going to be losing games. So, that's a priority for us, and we want to get in as many games as we can, obviously. And then the next point about that is the game schedules are going to change throughout the season. It changes every day. In the fall, it was changing every day. And all it takes, as I said, is for one school to be quarantined or a team to be quarantined, and it pretty much messes up a lot of the schedule. So I appreciate you as parents and athletes with your flexibility and patience. We're just going to try to do the best we can and try to have a successful season, get in as many games as we can, and hopefully make it to sectionals. The fall season last year got tight at the end. A few teams were not able to participate at the last minute. And I will tell you that Section 5 is not going to hold it up if they're not going to, if we're scheduled to play on a Monday, they're not going to let us play on Tuesday if we're quarantined until Monday. So Section 5 will not be holding up sectionals for teams that are quarantined. All right, next. Just a big thank you to everybody. As I said, the fall season went great. I was shocked when the winter season, when the state put something out that we can attempt our winter sports, the high risk winter sports. So I want to thank everybody again for your patience, your flexibility, and again, hopefully we can get as many games in as we can here for the winter season. Any questions at all?
We'll give it a second to catch up to see if anybody puts any questions in. Another clarifier, along with what Mr. Groff said about the Steuben County leagues. Just want all our parents and guardians to understand that Steuben County has a 1 hour cumulative time for quarantines. But our health department has said that because these are high-risk sports and they're close, the 1 hour rule really doesn't matter. They're all going to be closer than 6 feet for more than 10 minutes. So that's something to understand about quarantining. It's not going to be because of the 1 hour. It's going to be because they're closer than 6 feet for more than 10 minutes in these cases.
I've got a couple other things real quick that I wrote down. If nobody's asking any questions yet, I can throw these out. First of all, I just want everybody to remember, how many do we have on here, Mr. Harper? Do you know?
We have 40 people.
Okay. Just for anybody that's new, our home games are considered home in Canaseraga and in Arkport. And we do not have a specific shuttle to carry our athletes to a game in another school district. We do expect parents to take them to Canaseraga and back, pick them up at the end of the game. So there's no shuttle specific for any home games.
So that came up, and let's just make sure we're answering the question that came up, because that did pop up as you were talking, Mr. Steiner.
Mr. Harper and Mr. Groff and I did not talk about that. We are still planning for parents to take their children, take the athletes, and pick them up.
As in the past, if there's a shuttle that's going, so if Arkport students need to get to Canaseraga for a 6 o'clock game, and there's a practice shuttle that's going back and forth at 5 o'clock, definitely those students can jump on that shuttle to get there. But then if that shuttle shuts down at 6:30, then a parent would need to pick up their athlete from that particular building.
But we encourage parents to look at the schedule, because more often than not, there's a shuttle. You want to see some other questions before you keep going down your list, Mr. Steiner?
Sure.
So Mrs. Storing asked, will this video be available after today? Yes, it'll be available on Facebook and YouTube after today. So you can go back or share it after that. Go for it, Mr. Steiner.
Okay. One thing I do want to just make sure everybody's aware of, some schools, I don't think our county has it, but Allegheny County may, when our boys volleyball team is playing over there, some of them use the NFHS link. If you see a link that's NFHS and you're trying to watch the boys volleyball game, you're going to need to pay $10. I think it was $10.99 to use that link. That is something that some of the Allegheny County schools use the NFHS live stream link, and that is a fee. So I just want you to be aware of that. And it's a one-time fee. If it happens once, you can. It's like a month. It's $10.99 for the month. So. Again, when it comes to sectionals, if I remember last year in sectionals, when our girls played at Fillmore, actually it was the boys played at Fillmore and the girls, people did have to purchase that NFHS link. All right, so that might be something to think about. If you see that in our school, I just want you to be aware of that. And I guess that's it for me right now.
Had a couple questions about commentating. Yes, we will be inviting Ms. Walker and Max Huey back for commentating. We can comment. We can have commentation on anything, and just some follow up. The people don't have to be in person to comment on the games, but we can also socially distance. During the fall season, the commentators were part of the game crew and not a part of the fan crew. So it'll still happen. Commenting on wrestling, volleyball, we can do it all.
Maybe we can mic up Mr. Huey while he was coaching.
In perspective. Mr. Groff, you want to handle this one, kind of talk about what our limited plans at this point?
So one of the pieces that obviously superintendents in Steuben County have been reaching out to the Department of Health and just trying to come up with some ideas as far as senior nights, and realize that's an important piece in kind of the tradition of what we do with athletics, as well as important piece for parents and athletes. Couple things that we've thrown around in the county is kind of a time frame ahead of a game where we would come in, have parents come in, do a little ceremony, do that presentation. There's also some districts considering just doing something separate, maybe in a cafeteria kind of thing. I don't think we've come to a final resolution on what that looks like, but definitely understanding that, we need to do something probably short of coming to a game and doing senior night and actually staying for the game. On a senior night, we will have to continue to do the no spectator piece.
I think, Mr. Steiner, you worked with girls varsity soccer to do kind of a separate senior recognition outside of a game, and it worked
It
well.
was, yeah, it was about, I think it was 2 hours before a game was supposed to happen. We did a senior night. And then, parents were allowed to come and then they had to leave.
So we're looking at the options, that's for sure.
And I guess I would throw out, if any parents have good suggestions, obviously touch base with one of us or all three of us. Again, we're kind of in uncharted territory with this again, and certainly would receive your suggestions.
Mr. Huey said a live mic might be tough. So I think he said no to that. And just so the parents, for all parents, not just winter sports, Mr. Groff and I have started talking about options, and Mr. Steiner has been in those conversations about sports recognitions and what that looks like. Again, we haven't come up. I'm saying that only so we're talking about it. We haven't dropped that. And we're looking into options at this point of what might be able to happen this year. All set, Mr. Steiner?
I am.
Mr. Groff, anything else to add? All right, we'll give it another second or two, see if there's any other questions, but also know Mr. Steiner is always available for questions outside of this, and don't hesitate to get in touch with us. So if nothing else pops up, we'll say goodnight. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Join us.
Everybody.
What? Oh, hold on a second. Last minute, got another question. What is the R? I think they're referring to our school, right? No, not our school.
Oh.
Mr. Steiner, you want to take that one?
Is it our school she's talking about?
Yeah.
Our school is a link that is on our school webpage, and basically it's a Section 5 athletics program. Everybody in Section 5 is using our school. So you could see anybody's schedules, including Arkport, Canaseraga schedules, home and away. The link is right there. If you click on it, I think all you got to do is click on Arkport, Canaseraga, and it should take you to the link that shows the home games and all the away games and everything else. And in that our school, as I said earlier, I'm not sure where it is exactly yet, but there will be links to the live streaming that can be put into our school. And I know that our county has been talking, some of the ADs are talking about putting it in there. So each game you'll be able to find pretty easily.
Can you send that out and remind the link to the Our School ACE page?
Sure.
Okay. All right, that looks like the last question. So now we will sign off. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great night.